I married into a farming family here in Darlington, South Carolina, almost 12 years ago. I met my husband at Clemson University, where we both went to college, and had never been on a farm and really had no idea what it was like being married to a farmer, because you don't just marry a farmer, you marry the farm. And so I quickly learned and fell in love with it. And my husband Ty and I, we always love sharing what we do on the farm. We're a third generation family farm. Ty's granddad started it. And we grow cotton, corn, soybeans, peanuts, and then we also have Black Angus beef cattle. And so it was just this conversation we always had about it would be really cool to make a product or share what we do on our farm, because what we do, we're a large production row crop, and so we're removed from the end consumer in that we sell all our commodities in the markets. And so we just thought it would be really cool because we love connecting with people about our farm. So we started a family. Our oldest son, he's 7 now, and then we have twins that are 4, a boy and a girl. And life is crazy and busy, and we're baseball practice and dance and all of the things that make families fun and busy. And so we really had no desire to actually start a business. It was a really crazy time. We'd had a lot of natural disasters on our farm, and things were kind of tough on that end. And we have 3 small kids, and I had always had this dream to create something and to just kind of make something with my own hands and see it to completion and get to share that with other people. And so in December 2017, I woke up from a dream, and the Lord gave me this vision for Covered in Cotton, and how we were supposed to take the cotton grown on our farm and have it made into throw blankets. And that was such a natural thing, because we love blankets. If I'm sitting still, I'm covered up in a blanket. And it just seemed like the perfect fit. And it tied into our story from 2 years prior to that, the year our twins were born. Our youngest son, Tobin, he actually was diagnosed with bacterial meningitis when he was 3 months old. And so to make a long story short, he went through a really rough time. He actually had brain surgery on his first Christmas Eve, and spent 35 days in the Children's Hospital in Columbia, South Carolina. And that time in our lives was the hardest that we've ever faced. And thankfully, Tobin is completely healed and doing amazing. Now he's a smart and incredibly silly and funny little 4-year-old boy. But while we were there in the hospital during that time, we had so many people love and support us and pray for us and care for us, from people we knew for years, for people that we'd never met before. And one of those was a nurse. Her name was Allie. And a couple of weeks after we had been in the hospital, she gave us a blanket. And it was a practical gift, because hospitals are usually cold and uncomfortable. But it was this real reminder of how the Lord had covered and protected our family during the worst days of our lives. And so when the vision for Covered in Cotton came, we knew we wanted to be more than just about us and our family. We wanted to share some of the hope that we've been given with other families. So it's our Cotton with a Cause. For every 10 throw blankets we sell, we donate 1 to a local children's hospital in South Carolina. So obviously Ty's family had been farming and knew how to grow cotton and do it really well and do it really sustainably. And, it had been supporting our family for, generations, but we had no idea how to make a product. And the textile industry was something we had no idea where to start or what to do. And so that was December that the idea for that came. And so in January, we actually had to buy back the cotton that we had already sold So that's never a good feeling when you have to buy back something that's already yours or was yours at one point. So we were able to buy back some of our cotton, and then I just got on the internet and Googled everything I could, picked up the phone and made phone calls and got told no a lot, got laughed at, all of the things, and that just fueled me even more. I was like, we are so going to do this, and I don't care what it takes. So we ended up finding some really incredible people along the process. The textile industry, unfortunately, in our country has really, it's not what it once was. And it's much more difficult to find textiles and textile manufacturers here in the U.S. And so we had a heart to keep everything local. And really, to our surprise, we were able to keep everything local to North and South Carolina, which wasn't our intent to start with, but it was an extra bonus. And so we kind of just connected the pieces along the way. After the cotton leaves our farm in Darlington, it's ginned in Hartsville, which is not too far from where we live. And that's where the cotton fiber is removed from the seed. And then once that's all packaged up in a bale, just the cotton fiber, and then that goes to the yarn spinner in Thomasville, North Carolina. And so they spin the yarn for us there. And then it hops over to Hickory, North Carolina, where they ply the yarn together. So it's a 2-ply yarn, makes it a little thicker. And then from there, it makes another trip back into South Carolina in Blacksburg. We have a commercial weaver there. He does a lot of specialty fabrics and things. He actually weaves the throws for us and weaves the fabric for our baby blankets and our hand towels. And then after it leaves Blacksburg, it comes to Lamar, which is another community right near us in Darlington County. And that's where our cotton labels are sewn on and our baby blankets and our hand towels are cut and sewn. And so then it makes its way back to us where we package everything and then ship out all the orders we receive from our online store. So it wasn't easy piecing all of that together, but we found some really incredible people that just really supported our vision and what we were doing and really just wanted to be a part of it. And so they've been incredible to work with and have made things a lot easier for us not knowing anything about the textile industry. They've been really gracious to teach us along the way. For a farmer to take a crop, especially a crop like cotton, and want to be in charge of the entire process from seed all the way to finished product is very rare. For a cotton product to be grown and made here in America is very rare these days, which is really kind of sad. And so for us wanting to have it made as local as possible, so many things are done overseas. And so that's kind of where those laughs came from, of like, well, this is not what happens, And so also too, just learning how to create a business. To be honest, I have a minor in business administration from Clemson, but I really couldn't tell you the first thing I remember about that minor, and maybe it's helped me along the way. I just haven't known it, but just really trying to like navigate, well, legally, what do we do here? Or how do we set this up? Or what's the best route to go here? And so that was a big challenge of just, what do we do next? I have got this idea, but what are all the steps in the process to actually make it not just a product, but a viable business and brand? And so again, my nature is not necessarily to ask for help. If I can't do it myself, I don't like that. And so it's really grown me a lot. And there are people out there who are experts in doing all of these things. And so really going against my grain and just asking people for help and inviting other people into the process is a challenge for me, but it's been one of the biggest blessings for us because we're not put in the position to make some of the same mistakes that other people have made. So that was a challenge, but it's really turned out to be a really thing I think that's made us stronger for sure. So Cotton Incorporated is a organization that's set up to promote cotton, and they do a lot of research, they do a lot of marketing. They were one of our contacts and kind of helped put us in relation with other people. The Small Business Development Center has consultants that are located throughout the state of South Carolina and throughout the country, and so they were able to help connect us. As I kept digging further and further, I found that there are organizations, there are things set up, to help make that process a little easier. It was just a matter of finding the right people and just, picking up the phone or shooting an email. And there's so many people out there who want to help. And so it was just a matter of finding them and asking the questions, well, who helps with this? Or SCORE is another organization that helped connect us with some different, like attorneys or different things like that to help us get started too. When we originally launched our online store in November of 2018, it took us pretty much the better part of 2018 to get all our product developed and designed and all our packaging and get everything kind of set up with our website and everything. And so we launched in November of 2018. And 2019 was a pretty crazy year because in November, almost a year after we had launched, we were selected as Garden and Gun magazine's Made in the South overall award winner. And that really changed a lot for us in a short amount of time. And we were so fortunate just for that recognition and for just incredible award. And so really in 10 days, we sold out of all of our throw blankets that we had just had produced to last us through the year. And so things just got crazy after that, and we've tried to, just continue to grow and kind of, even fast track some things that we hadn't originally thought of that we were going to do so quickly because of the exposure and just the way that helped build our brand. And so, we've doubled our sales, over that time. And, this year we hope to double it again and have plans to launch more product lines. And so as we just continue to do that, we're just hopeful that things continue to just keep going up and to the right. When we originally started, all we had done was just put it on Facebook. Those really, that first year, that was really all of the marketing that we did. We had just seen so much traction with people following our story and sharing it and just excited about what we were doing, about how we were sharing our farm and our family and, like you said, our faith and the donations we were doing at the hospitals. And so we were really fortunate that a lot of local news outlets, wanted to tell our story. And, that's just kind of this tumbleweed effect of just bringing more opportunities to do that. And so locally and regionally, we would see some different things that just journalists want to tell our story, which was so great. And then after we entered the award for Garden and Gun, obviously that was incredible exposure and on that end. And so from there, we started working with a PR agency, and they're based out of Charleston, and they've been phenomenal of just, that's what we want to do. We've got a story to tell, and there's so many facets of it, of Made in America and the real story of agriculture in our country, and the story of textiles in our country, and the story of hope that we experienced with our son. And so, our heart is that we would just get the opportunity to tell that. And, we hope to do that on our website. And, our greatest compliment is a return customer. That's what we say. And so our hope is that when we send a product to a customer, the experience is so, phenomenal and so much more than they expected, and the product is so much more than they even expected, that they would want to go and share that with their loved ones. And so, whether it's gifts or whether they buy a whole collection for themselves. And so we do, our email marketing is big as far as, letting our family, our Covered in Cotton family know of what we've got going on. And we do a lot of social media and stuff too, that we want to share what we're doing on our farm and about our family. And so we kind of just try and tell our story in as many ways and as many different avenues as possible. This really is this family affair. It's been this incredible journey as far as Covered in Cotton for my husband and I, of just getting to dream about something and just, create something together. I mentioned that one time and someone said, well, you've got 3 kids, you've created something together. And that's so true. But this is just this whole different thing that we as a family get to be a part of. So 3 of our throws are named after our kids. And all of the products are named after people in our family or places on our farm. And so it's just very much this this opportunity for us to just get to share that. And so with what happened with our son, I mentioned that was the hardest thing that we've ever had to deal with, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to us. And that may sound really strange, but during that time, the Lord just showed us more of who he was, because there was nothing we could control. He had, a couple different surgeries. Every day was this unknown. We had no idea what to expect. Everything was out of our hands. And it was just this time for the Lord just to remind us that he's in control of our lives. And so we got to the end of ourselves pretty much. And so it changed our family. It changed the way that we are thankful for each other and thankful for the things that mattered, and because it happened over Christmas. And so, I hadn't finished Christmas shopping, the house wasn't decorated, all of the things that I would get in this big frenzy about when it came to Christmas, like, they weren't done, but it didn't matter. And so I like to say that the things that mattered, and the things that didn't. And so us being together as a family and our son being healthy and get to come home, like, that was the most important things to us. So it's changed the way we do Christmas, and the way that we, interact with our family around those times. And it's just helped us walk away with more freedom, because really at the end of that, we had this choice of whether we could walk in more fear, knowing what was possible, that our son, that kind of sickness is possible, and it can, cause all of these different side effects. And thankfully he had none of those. Or we could walk in more freedom, knowing that we walked through something so awful and so scary, but we made it out the other side and we're stronger for it. And so that's what we try our best and choose to do every day, is just continue to walk in more freedom, knowing that the Lord has been taking us on this journey, and he hadn't left us. And so we're really fortunate to be able to have that story to share with others. When we first started Covered in Cotton, I had a full-time job, and we had 3 little kids, and so I really look back on that time now and have absolutely no idea how we did it. Because we would put the kids to bed, and then my husband and I would get to work, and so we would stay up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning doing business things. And so it was something that, and it is something that we love. And so even in the middle of physical exhaustion, it still was just this refreshing and revitalizing thing, because we were so excited about everything that we were getting to be part of and everything we were getting to do. And when people would reach out to us and tell us how much they love the products and love the story, like, that just made it all, it's like, oh, I'm not that tired. We're okay. And so about a year ago, I stepped away from my full-time job to do Covered in Cotton full-time. And I thought that I'd have more time, but really you don't. And it's balancing this pressure of there's no one else for it to fall on, there's no one else to take responsibility for anything. There's no one else to make a decision when I don't know what to do or what to do next. It comes back on us and what we want to do moving forward. And that's a blessing, but that's also a burden sometimes. And so it's just increased our faith even more, because I don't have time to be afraid. Not that I'm not a lot of the times, but just that same mindset of like, we're just going to walk forward in freedom, that the Lord has brought us this far in this. And it was his idea from the start. It was never ours to carry. And so that takes a lot of the pressure off, I feel like, that he gave this gift to us in so many different ways, our family, our farm, and this business. And we just get to hold it and see what he does next with it. And so it's never easy balancing all of those things, but we make it work. We try our best to be organized and to have a schedule, and the kids help out, and they love going to the warehouse and playing while we're working or being a part of it. And but it is difficult to have a time off because it all depends on us. And so, making that concerted effort to put down my phone, or I'm not checking emails anymore today, or whatever it may be. So the self-discipline on my part has to be at its utmost game, because there's no one else to answer to. There's no one else to tell me to stop working or tell me, it's quitting time, So I know every entrepreneur and business owner struggles with those same things. So it's a moving target, and it's for us, it's not necessarily about balance, but it's about this settledness, because every season looks different. It looks different on our farm. It's really crazy right now because it's planting season, and our husband is working until 8 or 9 o'clock most nights. And so we'll go out to the farm and have dinner, or we'll go ride with him on a tractor. And so we just try and be flexible and figure out ways to make it work. I think my biggest advice would be just do it. As simple as that may sound, as when I was a little girl, like, I loved to create and loved to be artistic, and always were, making a project or some, art thing or whatever it may be, because I loved getting to see an idea come to life. And so, really the thing that's been beneficial for me is just to write it all down and get it on paper, and just ask others for help of how to make it possible. I really think that I know that the Lord creates us to do things together, that, we're never meant to do things on our own, and we're stronger as we bring people around us who have the same goal in mind and vision in mind, and who love us. And so to just go for it and write it down, set goals, and invite the right people around you to help make it happen. And whether that's your little girl and you want to invite your parents to come along with you and say, hey, I want to do this, or whatever it may be, just find people to walk the journey with you and support you and encourage you along the way, and find too the people who will be honest with you and tell you things you need to hear even when you don't want to hear them. That's something I like to have around me in my life, even when I don't want to listen. But at the end of the day, I know those people love me and love the Lord and want the best. And so just the right community and following along in those steps and those goals you set out, for sure. So we started out with our throw collection, and so those are 50 by 70 oversized throw, and those are our most popular products. We have now 4 designs of those, and this past fall we launched our hand towel and baby blanket collection. And so the fabric, once they cut the baby blanket out of it, the hand towel is what's actually left. So we use the whole roll of fabric, so we don't have any waste. And that's been really neat to launch those product lines. And unfortunately, we don't have any more little babies, and we're not going to have any more little babies. And so it's really fun to see other families getting to wrap their little ones in our cotton from our farm. And we hope to, probably in the next year or so, start developing a bed-size blanket collection. That is the #1 request we get weekly, if not daily. Does this come in a queen size or a king size? That people want to put those on their beds. And so we've got to find a couple more suppliers along the way to help make that happen with a larger with a larger width of fabric. So that's on our minds to start with next, hopefully in 2021. Our website is coveredincotton.com, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Covered in Cotton.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.